welcome to this week's episode of the How to Film Weddings podcast. My name is John Bunn, and today it's just me. My best good buddy Nick I gave him the week off. He took the week off. We decided he would have the week off. We have been pushing really hard since October, and Nick actually ended up in the emergency room last week. Was having some chest pains and turned out to be nothing major, but a lot of what was going on was stress induced. And I just wanted to start this episode by just first of all saying, if you're one who prays, shoot a prayer over to my best good buddy Nick, or reach out to him and just tell him you love him. Tell him he's the man. He's doing just fine. He, based on me and his thought, we just decided, hey, take a week off. And so we gave him the week off, and he's relaxing this week, and I'm kind of behind the steering wheel for this week's episode. But I just wanted to start this episode off by saying that you have to pay attention to yourself, your body, your mind, your mental health, and not get yourself to a place, if you smell smoke, that means there's fire. And that's kind of where Nick was at, where things are, out of priority. We're just pushing too hard, and our mastermind launch and course launches and retreats and all that stuff looks great and fun. But I've been feeling that way too. I've been feeling burned out. I've been feeling like, whoa, we've been doing too much. And so I felt like I wanted to say that. I want to make sure that if you're out there and you're in that position and you're just like, man, I feel like I'm about to have a breakdown. I feel like I'm medically not where I need to be. Just take a minute, take a step back, refresh, and then really reprioritize the things that you're doing. One of the things that we are doing this year in How to Film Weddings is we are not taking a step back, but we are going deeper when it comes to the things that we offer. We had big ideas for lots of new things, and I'm sure we will come out with new things this year and everything, but we really wanted to really lean into making even better content for our podcast, which already exists, and even better content for our mastermind group and our YouTube channel and our course. And so that's what we're doing this year. We are really focusing on quality over quantity and really defining what it is that we want to be focusing our time on, what gives us value, what makes us feel valuable, what gives us the excitement. And as Nick is chilling this week and taking just a minute to be with his family and to exercise and just to kind of refresh, I wanted to throw that out there. I know that's a little heavy to start the episode, but I really think it's important. So if you're out there, if you need anything, just shoot us a DM on Instagram at How to Film Weddings. If you just need somebody to talk to, there's no shame in taking some time off, going to see a therapist, going to talk to a friend, a pastor, going to get help, because wedding filmmaking and creative jobs can be very lonely, and I just know that there are thousands of you out there listening to the sound of my voice that maybe you need to reach out to somebody. Maybe there's someone in your life that you know that maybe they're struggling as well. Reach out. Let's really get each other pumped up and excited and refreshed in this season. And so enough on that. Hopefully you hear our heart there, and I want to switch gears and talk about our guest today, Jimmy Lick. He runs Rora Film Company with his wife out of Southern California. I met him last year at Venture Workshop, and he had an idea for an incredible new company. One of our new sponsors, actually, Second Society. I will let him talk all about what it is in this week's episode. So why don't we head on over to this week's episode of the How to Film Weddings podcast. All right, well, welcome my buddy Jimmy Lick from Second Society to the How to Film Weddings podcast. Jimmy, say hello to the How to Film Weddings crew. How'd you get in this seat? Who are you? Where are you from? Just speed date with us real quick.
Man, thank you so much for having me. How did I get here? I paid a lot of money to be right here. About $400,000 to be in a room with you. Yeah, man, it wasn't to you.
Yeah, I was going to say.
It was to somebody else.
I didn't see a penny of this. No,
man. My name is Jimmy Lick. I am a filmmaker. I have our own wedding business with my wife called Rora Film Co. And how did I get into this seat? I created a new platform that we're going to talk about soon that I think is going to help a lot of people.
Yeah. We got to meet each other back in October, I believe. It was October in Oregon at Venture Workshop. And some good-looking dude had a guitar and was singing around the campfire. And it was like, who's this guy? And it was you. We got to
Kalen. I was going to say Kalen Rome.
Yeah,
but no.
Okay. It was Kalen, right. And then he handed the guitar to you, which was great. And just got to get to know you a little bit, got to know your heart a little bit. We had emailed back and forth a little bit beforehand about Second Society, which we'll talk about here in a second. But I'd love to hear a little, like, you can tell that you're a very passionate guy. You're you're right there in the moment when you're there, and it was just cool to be around you at the retreat. You talked about Rora Film Company with your wife. When did you start that? What's that business look like? Kind of how'd you get into weddings? Like what did that look like?
Cool. Yeah, let's back up. So I actually worked at a church for 5 years back in 2011 to 2016. Started filming weddings in 2015 when some random people in the church, asked me to film their wedding for free. Then, $400 here, then $800. And then I realized, like, hey, I'm actually making decent enough money, more than you get paid at a nonprofit organization, and wanted to really make it a business. So I started back in 2016 and then, met my wife a couple years later. And we actually went on a venture workshop, wasn't called that at the time, but with White and Reverie, to Iceland. And we came up with the name Roar Film Co. from the Aurora Borealis, which we saw from the airplane on our way to Iceland. So it was really cool. Kind of launched our business there. We were both filmmakers at the time and just combined our businesses into Roar Film Co. And that's where it's at today.
So tell me about this Iceland trip. What was that?
Yeah, that was the first workshop that White and Reverie wanted to put on. So they got, I forget how many, I think it was like 15 or 17 videographers from pretty much all over the world, all met in Iceland for several days and, did a workshop. We filmed, kind of did some adventures around Iceland and all stayed in one Airbnb. It was a wild adventure, super fun. Really memorable moment.
That's incredible. Love the intention behind the name and stuff. And so your wife and you, what's the business look like today? How many are you shooting? Kind of who are you aiming for? Like what's the ideal with that business?
Yeah, so I guess this will be our 5th year as Roar Film Co. Last year we did 22 weddings, and I think this year we're gonna stick around 18, like at our max. Our starting package starts around 10K.
Come on.
All the way up to about 15K. And so, that's kind of where we're at.
And also, did you say where you're based?
Yeah, we're in Carlsbad, California.
Okay, cool.
SoCal.
Southern California, is that where you grew up? Is that kind of the...
No, I actually grew up in Philadelphia. And like right after college, I got a master's in multimedia. It's a long backstory, but there was actually a company out here that found me out that wanted me to work for them. And so I moved out here. My best friend was out here at the time. Really cool story. He actually got all his stuff stolen out of his car. He was surfing one day, so he lost it all. Found out that, he lost his car keys, his MacBook Pro, his iPhone, everything. And so he had to give his surfboard away, go to the police, file a report, all that stuff. And so it really enticed me to want to move out here, help him out for a few months, and hopefully land that job. And so that kind of brought me back out here in 2011.
Okay.
And so, so
That's
I've been
incredible.
out here for 12 years now.
Gotcha. And you have one kiddo. We were talking about before you hit record. You have one kiddo.
Yep.
What'd that do to you, having a kid, when it came to filming weddings, things like that? Did that make you want to?
It adds these bags under your eyes.
Yeah, I can see them in high definition. Yeah, they look
That's
great.
the main thing it does. And then from there, it just brings you a ton of joy as well. But obviously the stress of being a father and husband and trying to be there for, it's a lot.
Yeah, and you're a guy that seems to like jump all in. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know you well enough to know, but seems like, it's like, oh, California, let me just go on, jump all in over there. And then like talking about, with your wedding business, your all that stuff. But then like somewhere along the line, you get into this new business you started, Second Society, which I'll let you explain what it is. And if people out there don't know, Jimmy has signed on as one of the official How to Film Wedding sponsors. We had Brady Huff with Wedding Post House on a couple weeks ago as a new sponsor. And then Jimmy also signed on as a new sponsor, kind of rounding out this year's sponsors, which is really awesome. The lineup of our sponsors is incredible. And we don't just let people be a sponsor. We get asked not a lot, but we get asked enough to, really have to vet people and stuff. And, just getting to know you over the last few months and working through our sponsorship deal and all that good stuff, you can just tell that like you're very, very passionate about Second Society. And so for those out there that don't know of Second Society, why don't you give us just the idea behind it? What is it? Let's start there. What is Second Society?
Yeah. So Second Society is just a platform that we created for wedding videographers and photographers. It's strictly that. It's a place to find lead shooters, second shooters, and assistants, and actually find who's available for your wedding date within seconds. So that is the main bread and butter point to it. Yeah, do you want me to kind of dive into why we created it?
Yeah, I was going to say, like, why is Second Society needed? Like, why does it exist? Like, what problem did you see that you wanted to fix?
Yeah, so, as you're building your business, you realize there's a lot of, pain points just in building your business in general, and you're always trying to find tools to help make the business better, right? And so when I first started out, it was contracts for me. So I had to print a different contract. You had to bring it in person to your clients and have them sign it, and then I'd file it away somewhere. And then you find out about Honeybook, or you find out about Dubsado and all these great CRMs, and you're like, oh my gosh, this has elevated my business, tenfold. And yes, you invest money into it, but it just makes you a lot more professional, and the time that you get back to yourself is like exponential, right? And so Second Society came up with this idea because it was a big pain point for us to find second shooters. And the way that we run our business, we really need the help in having a good second shooter capture these, bigger weddings for us. And that has just been always something that we struggled with, trying to find somebody that's available, trying to find good quality shooters, and try to find people that, aren't running their own wedding businesses. So they're always busy, And so that's kind of how it came about.
And so, a lot of times if I need a second shooter or something, it's just like texting a friend or posting in a Facebook group, but you never know kind of who you're going to get, or, you just don't know if you can trust them. So what does Second Society do, like at the practical level, to help help people, help the wedding filmmakers like know that they're going to get good quality? Or like, what does the site do that's different than just going maybe to Facebook or a local Facebook group to find someone to shoot for you?
Yeah, well, number one, it keeps you like really organized. So you have your own profile there, and it's very clean. So you can filter results based on the camera gear that you need. So if you need, a specific Sony shooter, you can type that in and find all the people that own Sony gear. You can put in the wedding date that you're looking for, and it'll pop out, all the people that are actually available for that date at this current time. You can also build your own network, so you can find all the shooters that you worked with in the past or that want to work with in the future, add them to, your entire network, and then just search based on that. So you can, kind of redefine the search results that you want. And so it's just keeping all the places that you look. You can post on Instagram, you can post on Facebook groups, you can text people. This is the one site, the one-stop shop to find a second shooter. So you just always will go here to find that person.
Yeah, and you mentioned it, but like, not only can you go to find second shooters, the flip side of that, if you're out there and you're like, man, I want to do some more work, or I want to get to go travel to some of these destinations. Is that something that you're kind of aiming at as well with people?
Yeah, exactly. So it's like a two-sided marketplace. So it's a place for companies to find second shooters, and it's also the exact same place for if you want to be a second shooter, if you want to be a lead shooter, and pick up some jobs in your own city or find available jobs all throughout the United States. You can do that as well. And so we have a place called a job board where you can look through and search by city of what city you want to shoot a wedding at. And so this kind of came out of this idea where we travel a lot for destination weddings, and it would be great if we could stay there for the entire week, shoot the wedding that we've already booked, and then find other weddings around in that same city and make some extra money while we're there and kind of visit the city, do some, adventure with the family, whatever you can.
That's awesome. Yeah, I know that there's been, lots of times where I'm traveling to another city and like flying somebody in that's local with me just because I know them and things like that. I don't know if the site currently has it or if it's in the works in the future, but how do you know, how do we know that the people that are on that site are credible? How do we know, going on there and seeing, does it show how long they've been shooting? Does it have links to their work, that sort of thing? Or how are you going about really almost like an Uber driver, you can see, oh, they've done this many trips. They're a pro. They've done all these things. I can trust them. Is there anything in the works or in the future for the site for that?
Yeah. So let's, we'll start with what's on the site right now. Cause right now we're still in beta version. We're still building it. There's new features that we're kind of implementing week by week. But right now you can build out a profile as a shooter. You can showcase your work. If you're a photographer, you can showcase links to entire galleries, which we found was really important. And you can showcase a bio about yourself, your gear list. And then what's really cool is you can show who you've worked with in the past. And so any company or any other photographer or videographer that you worked with in the past, if you've shot with them and they approve that you shot with them, their profile and logo sit on your profile. So you can go on there, look at Jimmy Lick and see all the, there goes my headphone. You can see all of the companies that I've worked with in the past right there on my profile.
Yeah. You can grab your headphone if you'd like. And if you were watching on YouTube and you saw that thing fly out of his ear, before we hit record, he said these are his wife's AirPods, and so they're probably going to fly out of his ear. So it happens. Little ear guy or big ear guy, I don't know. Okay, he's back.
I think
little ear, sure. That's fine. I like that. Okay, so I've seen a couple of things online watching you as you've been putting this out there is a lot of bigger name people are joining as well. And it, at the first it's this is a place where you can find second shooters or become a second shooter or a lead shooter or get all this work. And it really does just make sense. And it's weird that there wasn't anything out here, any directories, any ways to really be connected and vet people and find it. I can't tell you how many times in the How to Film Weddings group, people are like, is anybody located in, this city? We need help tomorrow. Oh my goodness. And watching that though, watching all these bigger name people join, the credibility of it, you're oh, that person's on there. I think I saw Nirav Patel had joined recently, or, Nick and me are on the site where you can have us come second shoot for you, things like that. What have you seen though alongside the community? What's already happening? Because you're just getting going not too long ago with this brand, and so what are you seeing right now that's exciting you about the community?
Yeah, I think what's been really cool is these are people that we admire. Nirav Patel is somebody we've worked with in the past, and actually get to work with him in a couple months again. And we've reached out in the beginning when we were building Second Society, our heart behind it and our goal and our vision is to not just make this a place for kind of everyone. We really want to, up the level a little bit with second shooters and the process of finding second shooters. So we reached out to, people that have been in the business for a while, that are pretty well known and say like, hey, what are your pain points when looking for second shooters? And these are people that, have helped us build the site to what it is today, and are going to continue to help us kind of just speak into, how do we make this site the best that we possibly can for finding high quality second shooters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been kind of incredible to watch as all the I keep seeing people joining and saying that they're a second shooter for it. Why don't you talk a little bit about how it works to join? Like, if somebody wants to do this, what do they do to join? Fee involved, or like just all that kind of stuff to become a second shooter on Second Society.
Yeah, so we'll start. There's like basically two different ways to sign up. There's a shooter profile only, and then there's all access. And so if you want to be a second shooter, you can sign up, create your profile, add your work, add your bio, and then basically create your profile, and just it exists up there. And so like any company can now find you on that platform, reach out to you, and potentially hire you for a wedding. The other side is all access, which gives you that shooter profile, but it also allows you to now find videographers or find photographers. And it also allows you to post jobs in the job board and apply to any of those jobs that are there. And so that's pretty much it, is a shooter profile and all access. And then there's an all access lifetime. There's a limited number for that. So we're going to limit that at 1,000 people. So the first 1,000 people that sign up for all access lifetime, they get a discounted rate right now.
Gotcha. Yeah. And we'll put a link to the site and everything, but howtofilmweddings.com/Second Society will take you straight there, offer all the different promo codes and stuff. We'll talk about those in a sec. As far as like this company being something that's just like a standard in the industry, where do you see it going? What things are you already seeing that you want to add to this platform as it grows? What kinds of things do you think it can do? Just what does the future of it look like?
I want it to be really seamless. I want it to be just a known name. It's the only place that we go to find second shooters that you can really trust. I want it to be, a big community. I think there's a lot of different Facebook groups out there, and that's kind of where it's tough. We have a Facebook group for every state in the United States, and you can be a part of that, but you can't really be a part of the other states, and you don't really know everybody. So I think, just adding all the people that are on Facebook groups all over the United States right now to one local central spot to find, great shooters across the nation is going to be really helpful, number one. And then number two, just the process of finding and hiring a second shooter, all the way to, finding them, seeing how they are, seeing what their personalities are like, from the bio and all that, and then being able to add contracts. And so they can sign a contract right there for every single wedding, and then invoicing. So you can pay through Second Society. That's a future update that we're going to put in. But basically, you can pay through Second Society to the second shooter that you're hiring, and not have to deal with any of the Venmo and payments out, and payments being late, and etc.
Yeah, that's incredible. It's going to be fun to watch. You mentioned that Facebook groups, Facebook communities, and then just like learning and growing as a second shooter. I know you have already started to put out information and stuff about just growing as a second shooter, a lead shooter. What does that side of things look like? Because are you going to also get into educating people on how to do this better, how to get in markets, how to be a good second shooter? Is that part of the plan?
Yeah, so we really want to create kind of like a blog section of Second Society and offer a lot of like educational courses. We want to create our own course on second shooting, have like a code of conduct, like, hey, how do we act on the day of working for somebody else? How do we interact with the brides that like we didn't technically, they didn't reach out to us to hire, but we're working for another photographer or another videographer. So like all that kind of stuff we want to build. And then we also want to partner, with great education resources such as yourself, like How to Film Weddings, and other people that host podcasts or have educational courses and have that on our site as well, to where people can get, a discount code for educational courses and so forth. But we really want to like have as much education, quality education, on our blog page as well.
I love it. As far as like, if I'm out there and I do want to be a second shooter, I want to shift a little bit. And if you're interested in Second Society, we're going to throw a promo code up on our website and stuff. We'll talk about that too here in a sec. But you've mentioned, the idea came from you trying to find second shooters, having a hard time. If you're talking to people out there that are either wanting to second or lead for someone else, what advice would you give them? Shifting gears from, Second Society itself, but like, what are some general advice that you could maybe throw out there to somebody that says, I do want to do second shooting, or I do want to get in the room with some of these other people? Where would you steer them on like a couple of basics on like what you're looking for as a second shooter when you're hiring one, or what you're looking for if you're trying to find a lead shooter?
Yeah. So I love, the people that I've hired out before. We'll start with, the people that I wouldn't hire. I've had some people that I've hired as second shooters, told them specifically to just watch the cameras, and then they forgot to hit record during the ceremony. And Perfect. So I walked around with my camera, got all my cool shots, but then the two main shots of the bride and the groom giving their vows were not recorded. And so, that's one reason why we need Second Society. Number two, I've also hired people that are talented, but really just came on for the money. You can tell that they're not passionate about filming weddings. And there's so much that goes into being there on the day of. You're there for, 8 or plus hours. And not only are you filming, but you're interacting with the couple, you're interacting with the bridal party. And one of the things that I look for in a second shooter is, do they go above and beyond just shooting and just capturing what you're asking them to do? Do they have the creative eye and, step outside of the room for a second and say, oh, what should I be getting right now? What can I be doing now to set up for the next 15 minutes, And so I've found people that will just go set up my tripods. They've never seen my tripod bag before, but they found it, set up all the tripods for the ceremony, put the cameras up without me having to ask them. That is what you look for. That is a grade A second shooter. Somebody that is outgoing, that kind of matches your style in personality and in character. And that's what you want to do. You know what I mean? As a second shooter, you're trying to make this the easiest day you can for the lead shooter, for the person that you're working for.
I know that I've found over the years, the idea with second shooters, communicating with them before the wedding, just like walking through the details of it and stuff. But what you said about like matching the personality, obviously you're your own person, but like you need to know the brand identity, who you're working with, like what, if you're second shooting for a luxury wedding, it's just like you're mirroring the style of the lead shooter, and you're understanding your role. You're not trying to be the center of attention. You're not trying to, a lot of it has nothing to do with actually shooting. It's more so how you are at the wedding, what you're doing. And then anticipation is a huge thing. Like what you're saying, just like I'm anticipating 15 minutes from now is the ceremony. So I'm going to go ahead and get these microphones ready to go so we can mic up the officiant whenever it's time. Or I'm going to go ahead, we're here at the reception, I'm going to go ahead and get these lights set up. I'm going to go ahead and get this audio set up. And the more skill that you have, the higher people are willing to pay. And so like my second shooter, Joel, he runs his own company. Or if I hire Blake to second shoot for me, Blake the editor, they're getting $100, $150 an hour to be a second shooter, because I can say, hey, Joel, go set up the ceremony, mic up the officiant, mic up the groom, the bride, the father of the bride, put a mic on the podium, and also plug in through the soundboard. And he's like, cool. And he goes and sets up 3 or 4 cameras, does all these things, get them all color balanced. And then I can walk in the room and he's like, hey, Kelvin, setting around 4,000 in here, double check and make sure we're good. And if I'm like, I like 4,200, and he's like, cool. And he goes around and changes all the cameras to match, because they are realizing that they are there to set up that lead shooter. And I can guarantee you, if you're going into a wedding as a second shooter like that, you're going to get hired for multiple gigs. You're going to get referred for multiple gigs. And so anticipation is massive on a wedding day. And then just mirroring the brand identity, the identity of who you're working for, and saying, oh, well, John's brand is like luxurious but fun and, you know, nostalgic and cares a lot. So I'm going to mirror that. I'm not going to like be super goofy or something, but it's like I can have fun, I can enjoy myself, instead of just completely being, you know, cold and not talking or whatever that is, because they're hiring you to be an extension of their brand. Anything you want to add to that? I talked a long time.
Yeah, no, I think you hit it right on the head. And especially like when you're going into, you know, a luxury market, or, you know, people are paying a lot of money for the wedding video. And the whole day is kind of luxury. You're working with luxury end clients, luxury end coordinators. There's like a way to carry yourself, and you have to make sure that your second shooter is an extension of who you are. And so it's really easy for us to walk on there and be like, you know what? All right, I'm going to make sure that my lights aren't set up in anybody's way, you know, that they're not overstepping the DJ, that, you know, you're not plugging in to DJ's equipment without asking him. These are things that, like, you know, you need to make sure you hire somebody that knows what they're doing, that knows how to carry themselves, like you said. Like, you already trust that second shooter to do that, and to have manners and kind of know etiquette on the day of. And I think that's like really important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think it's really neat that you've created a place that's like educating people on the idea of second shooting, lead shooting, building a network of second shooters, like seeing the content that you're already putting out, and helping people. It's very much needed in our industry. And if you're one of these people where it's like, oh, I only want to shoot 12 to 20 weddings a year, but maybe there's still a little bit of a gap when it comes to cash flow or things like that, or different months where you're like, wow, I don't have anything in May this year. You know, it's February. Oh, you can put your name on Second Society and say I'm available all of May, and maybe get a wedding or two to help get you more reps and get you better. But you can learn a lot by just being a second shooter for another company. I wasn't a second shooter for anyone for like 10 plus years. One of the first times I ever second shot was actually last year for Nick. His son had gotten sick and his wife stayed home to a destination. And so like 2 days before, he messaged me and was like, can you fly out to whatever city and second shoot for me? And I was like, I was nervous. I was like, oh my goodness, I haven't second shot. I think I second shot one other time for a different company like 5 or 6 years ago. But so I learned a lot of how he did what he did. And I've seen people, you know, say, hey, I use a 70 to 200 for portraits. I always just used a 50 or a 24 to 70. And he was like, hey, for portraits, I want you on the 70 to 200. And I was like, oh, he wants this. I'm not taking this risk on my wedding. So sure. And I threw that bad boy on there and did the shoot, the portrait session. And since then, I've only shot on 70 to 200s on mine because it looks so much better. Like the compression was what I don't know why I haven't, but like it got me out of my comfort zone, and it helped me to be like, oh, I can try this. And then since then, you know, I've taken some of the things of camera movements or how he did certain things, or just learning by being around each other. And I think that's something that, especially in the wedding video industry, has been so hush-hush for so long, about like helping each other grow together. And one of the key things, you know, the core values of How to Film Weddings is we want to help elevate the video industry. And you do that by sharing knowledge, helping each other grow, because the people that are secretive, they've got their secrets and they won't tell, or they won't, are the ones that are very insecure about like losing the work. And it's like, if you're the best in the world, are you really that worried that somebody's going to steal all your weddings? And how many can you do if you're on like the high end? Like if you're one of the best in the world, you're probably shooting 15 to 20 a year. Like, are there not more than 15 to 20 weddings out there that are, anyway, that's a sidebar. I'll get off the soapbox. What do you want to add? Anything of that?
Yeah, I think that like you kind of hit it right there. If I could make Second Society all about like the one type of person, it would be, you know, us, the people that have your own businesses. You're already filming, you know, 15 weddings a year. They're already booked. But for me, like, I would love to film an extra 5-10 weddings, not have to worry about, you know, dealing with all the front end and the back end, having to deal with the editing. You're able to like charge a pretty good amount for a day rate. Also, it allows you to be creative. It allows you to do these weddings without the pressure, of lead shooting and dealing with the client and the coordinator and all that stuff. You're kind of just there to like create, and have a ton of fun while doing it. And so like every time I get the second shoot, I love it, because you just show up and do your thing, and then you get the bounce. And so I think it would be really awesome if we had a lot more people on there that were really good at their craft and just wanted to fulfill 5 or 10 extra spots for the year.
Yeah, that's incredible. And the more people that join, the better it gets. Every time I see you post, it's like, so-and-so, welcome them to the Second Society family. Welcome. And it's like watching it grow and being that place that what's that process been like for you as we kind of wrap up here? Like, what has this process been for you getting this up and going? Like, what have you had to do to get this off the ground?
Yeah, so it originated from one of the people in our church who directed me to a developer here in San Diego. And so we got to work with him, and, we have no real background on design. And so we kind of designed it from the ground up, of what it looks like. We got a logo made and all that, but the development is what takes the most time and is like very hard to do. And so you have to code the whole website from scratch. And we don't have to get into that, but it's basically taken me almost 14 months to get this thing off the ground, from an idea, from concept to developing every single page and what it looks like and all that. So yeah, it's definitely been a big process.
I know this much: to make something easy for the end user is not easy for the creator.
Yeah, and exactly.
The more easy you want to make it for somebody, the more hoops you have to jump through. We're so used to it in a world that, Amazon Prime kind of world, or where we just can have what we want right now. I've been on the back end of developing different brands, different websites before, and I know that a lot of money goes into it, and I know that a lot of time goes into it, and you're taking big risks to help the community. And so if you're out there listening to this and you're like, man, this sounds like a good idea, support what Jimmy is doing at Second Society. Sign up for the basic account, even just to like get in there and support what he's doing, just because it's going to help our industry. It's going to make people better at wedding filmmaking, and it's going to be something that I feel like is a staple in wedding filmmaking and photography moving forward. And like, I'm excited that we're able to see this part of it as it's just kind of launching and getting out there. And we're so excited as How to Film Weddings to have you on, like I said, as a sponsor, because we don't just let anybody join, but we love what you're doing. We're excited to use the product. Speaking of the product, you put together a promo code for people that want to join, things like that. Why don't you hit them up with that and where to go to retrieve that?
Yeah, so you can go to secondsociety.io, and if you're listening, you can use the code HTFW20 for 20% off any of those subscriptions.
Yep, so head on over to secondsociety.io, and if you're like, I can't remember that, it's linked on the homepage of the How to Film Weddings site as well, so we can make it real easy for you. But head over there, try it out. Any final words, Jimmy, on any of this before we sign off for the day?
No, man. Just want to honor you and all that you've built in these past 4 to 5 years. You've created such an awesome community, and it's just been an honor to be a part of it. And I'm honored to serve everybody that's listening.
I love it. All right. Thanks so much, and I guess we'll see you soon. Well, thank you so much, Jimmy, for taking the time to be on the How to Film Weddings podcast this week. So excited about Second Society. And if you didn't hear him, if you head on over to secondsociety.io, you can enter promo code HTFW20 for 20% off of your purchase of your membership today. Jimmy, thank you so much for being on. Listeners, as a reminder, enjoy what you're doing as a wedding filmmaker. Lean into the things that you love doing. If that's second shooting, if that's lead shooting, if that's editing. But we are here for you as How to Film Weddings. We're here to elevate the wedding film industry, and that's exactly what we plan on doing. So have a great week, and until next time, we'll see you.
Are you looking for a better way to deliver your wedding films? Look no further. Our friends over at VidFlow provide the most flexible video delivery solution on the market. VidFlow is pay-per-use with no large upfront costs or commitment, and you can cancel at any time. VidFlow offers a premium viewing experience for all of your couples, accessible on mobile, tablet, desktop, as well as their very own suite of TV apps. Each project comes with 10 years of hosting and an experience for your couples that will blow them away. Head over to howtofilmweddings.com/vidflow, where you can save 20% off a yearly business membership by using promo code HTFW20. Stop delivering your films the old-fashioned way. Give your couples something to rave about by using VidFlow.